Hey guys, welcome back. I think we've decided that this is season 3 of A Paranormal Girls. We're just gonna have a billion seasons.
And this is not the same sort of break as we took in between season 1 and 2.
No.
Where we were just dying. We were plotting.
Yeah.
This month.
Yeah. We have some really exciting things coming up. I hesitate to say this now because it probably won't be for this episode.
Yeah.
But in the very near future, we are going to start publishing A Paranormal Girls as a podcast. It's probably how you listen to us anyway, so
this is for you who just want a paranormal time with us on the road.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That, and we are starting our brand new mini-series that we are calling Drinking with the Stars. We're very excited about this. We have our first episode coming up. It's our astrology mini-series. We're doing a little episode per sign.
We do have a few special guests already planned ahead, but we have not filled every sign yet.
Okay, so we're really excited about today's episode. We felt like we needed to get back into the paranormal.
Mm-hmm. But this is also a little different, because usually, you're used to our setup being one of us has no fucking idea what's going on, and the other one has all the news, all the stories, everything for you and for us. But today, we each brought a little something. But before we get into that, theme song. Paranormal girls into normal things. A paranormal girls into normal things. Yeah.
So, today's episode, as you can tell from the title of this video, is Haunted Dolls. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. True stories, true as far as we know,
True-ish.
of haunted dolls. So we each brought a story of a famous haunted doll. These are the most famous.
Yeah.
I tried to find others, but
These are the two big guys.
yeah. So I am going first, and I'm going to be talking about Annabelle the doll. Maybe you've heard of her. Listen, I don't watch horror movies.
I do.
I don't enjoy that. But so I've never seen Annabelle, but apparently she is featured in Annabelle and also in The Conjuring, which I haven't seen either of those movies, but so here's the real story, which is not anything like the movie. I think the movie Annabelle suggested what maybe happened before these girls got a hold of Annabelle. So that's interesting, but I'm not gonna watch it. So Donna was a 28-year-old nursing student in the 1970s, unclear where, but she was given a Raggedy Ann doll from her mother.
I had one of those.
You did?
Yeah.
They're weird looking, but they were a thing.
Yeah.
Her mom got it from a hobby store and gave it to her for her birthday. I guess Donna liked dolls. So she takes the doll home and she puts it on her bed, and she found that it kept changing positions. Maybe she would sit it like this, and then she would come back and its arms would be crossed or its legs would be crossed, stuff like that. It started small, and then it would move throughout the room. She wouldn't see it walking or anything, but she'd leave and then it would be somewhere else in the room. She had a roommate named Angie, and they both started to experience weird things with this doll. They would leave and come back, and the doll would be in the living room. They'd leave it in the living room, and it would end up in her bedroom, even if they left the doors closed, stuff like that. So yeah, it would always be found in different positions. Sometimes it would even be standing on 2 feet, which I don't even know how Raggedy Ann dolls do that.
There's no way.
Yeah.
She would need bones.
Yeah. So at first, Donna thinks maybe it's my roommate Angie, but Angie is no, and Angie is seeing weird stuff as well. And so then they thought maybe it was their super. They had a young super who they thought maybe was playing a joke on them. So they put tape at the bottom of their door to see if anyone had come in.
Got it.
And when they came back, the tape was unharmed, but Annabelle had moved.
Dun,
So
dun, dun.
dun, dun, dun. They had a close friend named Lou who had honestly the worst experience with Annabelle. I think Annabelle did not like men. Right off the bat, Lou did not get a good vibe from this doll, and he actually tried to get Donna to get rid of it. The doll moves around, but on top of that, they're finding weird little notes around the house that say stuff like, "Help us," and one of them said, "Help Lou." And they were finding it looked like it had been written in a child's handwriting, and it was also written on parchment paper, but at the time they didn't have parchment paper anywhere in their house. This one night, Lou is staying over, he's sleeping on their couch, and he wakes up in the middle of the night and he's completely paralyzed. He can't move. Sleep paralysis is what that sounds like to me. But that just because it's sleep paralysis doesn't mean you're not seeing a fucking demon.
I guess.
So he can't move, and he looks and he sees Annabelle at the end of the couch. This bitch crawls up his body and strangles him.
No, thank you.
And he can't move, he can't breathe, he passes out.
Oh.
And when he wakes up, he's like, I guess that's what he said. He was like, He was like, I guess that was a dream, but it felt so real. And then he looks, and he has scratches all over his chest.
How would a Raggedy Ann doll scratch him?
So at this point, they're like, all right, what's going on? So they take Annabelle, I'm sorry, her name at this point is not Annabelle. At this point, she has no name. So they take her to a medium. The medium said it was the spirit of Annabelle Higgins, a 7-year-old who had died on the property before the apartments were built. And she had, so it wasn't even a haunted doll, I guess, prior to them bringing it, is her theory, is this medium's theory.
The doll got possessed after it was brought into the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the spirit of young Annabelle.
Okay.
And Annabelle says to the medium, I love these girls. They make me feel so safe. I want to stay with them. Please let me stay. And the girls are like, oh my God, you can stay. Which,
dumb!
From your local paranormal girls, do not invite a spirit into your home.
Especially one that's already been violent.
It's already attacked Lou.
She has a temper. It's
my
clear.
gosh.
Remove the toxicity in every aspect of your life, but starting with the demons.
Oh, she feels safe with us. Let's let her stay.
Fuck off.
So after that, of course, it starts getting way worse. So at one point, they even saw Annabelle levitating one of them.
Tight.
Yeah, so now she's moving from room to room constantly. She can't stay in one place. So Angie and Lou are planning a road trip. They're hanging out in their living room, and all of a sudden in one of the bedrooms, they hear like hard footsteps, like a man's footsteps. And Lou's like, I'm gonna check it out, like the good friend I am. He goes in there, and of course just Annabelle's laying in the corner of this empty room. And he goes to inspect, he's feeling brave, and he goes over to Annabelle, and suddenly he just feels like there's something behind him. And he turns around, and there's obviously no one there, but all of a sudden he's like doubled over, holding his chest. His shirt is stained with blood. They look, and there's 7 distinct scratch marks that they say looked like an animal claw. And there were 4 horizontal and 3 vertical. And the scratches healed almost immediately. Within 2 days, they were completely gone. Super, super weird. Poor freaking Lou. These girls are like, she moves around and leaves us notes. And Lou's like, she's trying to kill me. So at this point, they want to bring in the big guns. So they go to their local priest, and the priest is like, man, that sounds scary. So he calls another priest, and that priest says, I'm gonna call the experts. So the second priest calls the famous paranormal investigators, Ed and Lorraine Warren. No, enter Ed and Lorraine Warren. These guys are famous. You've probably seen them as characters in like The Conjuring and the like.
Sure.
But they're real. Lorraine was clairvoyant. Ed and Lorraine go to the girl's house, and it became immediately clear to Lorraine, I guess, since she's the clairvoyant, that this was no little girl. This was actually a demon.
Tight.
Who was not like inside the doll, but was outside the doll, attached to the doll, but manipulating it, and like he was just like tossing it around the room to just make his presence. I am making this demon a man. I don't know why I'm giving it those pronouns, but
it's the patriarchy.
So they came to the conclusion that the demon was not looking to stay attached to the doll, but rather hoping to get close to the girls as to switch and possess a human body instead.
Makes sense.
And it hated Lou, I guess. So they call one of those priests over, and he performs an exorcism on, I guess, the doll and the house.
Okay.
And the priest was confident that the demon was not going to stay in the house. But just for good measure, Ed and Lorraine decided to take Annabelle back to their house. And Ed told his wife that they should avoid the highways and take back roads back to their house because it was going to be a bumpy ride. And apparently it really was. I don't know how, but they splashed holy water on the doll, so then they got home safely.
Tight.
The doll is still in Ed and Lorraine's paranormal museum. They're both dead, but the museum is still there, and Annabelle is in this wooden display case. I'll show you a picture. But there's a sign that says, positively do not open, and there's a little devil tarot card. So weird stuff continued to happen surrounding Annabelle, even when she was trapped, and I guess the demon was trapped in this case. This man and his girlfriend went to the museum, and the guy was taunting Annabelle and was like, if you can give people scratches, give me scratches. And Ed was like, you gotta go, bro. And so they left, and his girlfriend and he apparently were making fun of Annabelle. How? What are you saying? Like, oh, she's not real. I don't know. Stuff like that. On their motorcycle. And then he loses control of the motorcycle and crashes. All of this is alleged, but at one point a priest came into the museum and said, God is more powerful than evil. And his tractor trailer crashed or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah, that's the story of Annabelle. Dolls are creepy.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm here to talk to you about Robert the doll. There was a whole, it wasn't even just one movie. They made like sequels, which is really weird to me because there are a lot of discrepancies in this story. Like people can't really seem to agree like as to what happened with this doll. And so if you hear me like going back and forth about things, it's usually between like Wikipedia and what the website where the doll is currently being kept, the museum, says about what happened. So the first discrepancy comes from the name of the person that owned the doll. So, and the movie says this too, and the website for the museum says that Eugene Robert Otto was the person that originally owned the doll. Wikipedia tells us that his name was Robert Eugene Otto. But we're going to go with Eugene because it's less confusing for me. So Eugene was described as very eccentric. He was an artist and an author who lived in Key West, Florida. And how Eugene received the doll is still something of a mystery because there are also discrepancies about that. So one story says that one of the family's servants gave him the doll as retaliation for a wrongdoing. And then another story states that back in 1904, when Eugene was a young lad, his grandfather went on a trip to Germany and brought him back the doll as a birthday gift. The doll was one of a kind, and it was manufactured by the Steiff Company of Germany. Eugene then supposedly named the doll after himself, either his first name or his middle name. Still a mystery.
And side note, Robert's gross. I'm sure we've already shown the picture, but let's show it again. It's
yeah,
nasty.
He's gross.
He's disgusting. We don't like it.
Grody. Okay, so this kid like really clung to the doll, like so much so that he named him after himself, and then dressed him in one of his own outfits. So the sailor suit that you see Robert the doll dressed in is supposedly one of Eugene's actual outfits. So I don't know if the doll came makey-wakey or he like changed him out of whatever clothes he came in and was like, nah dog, you're wearing my clothes.
Oh.
So he literally like made the doll himself, which is really already not my favorite thing.
Narcissist.
Yeah. When Eugene was 10 years old, he reportedly awoke to find his doll sitting at the end of his bed staring at him. Why is it always the bed? It's always nighttime. Yeah. It's always the bed.
You're most vulnerable when you're sleepy.
I think you're most vulnerable when you're on the toilet. Why are you talking when you're on the toilet?
That's so weird. Right?
It would probably scare the literal shit out of me. So, He wakes up, he sees the doll sitting at the end of his bed, staring at him. And then his mother wakes up to the sound of screaming. He's screaming, help, help, help. And furniture is being overturned, like large things being thrown across the room in Eugene's bedroom. So she goes over to the door, like can't get it open, is like struggling to get the door open. She finally like gets it undone and then finds Eugene like curled up on his bed, like shaking in fear. His room is like a disaster, like stuff is everywhere. And the doll is just like sitting, chilling at the foot of his bed. This is the only story that's found about what happened with the doll while he was with Eugene. And then Eugene goes off to study art in New York and Paris, leaving his good friend Robert the doll behind. And then in 1930, which, I'm sorry, why didn't you try to throw away the doll? Like, why do you still have it?
He leaves the doll, like, in the attic, right?
Yeah, it's like, it's somewhere in the house, though.
Yeah.
He leaves it in the house.
He left Robert in the attic in a room with a window, and Robert, I guess, was sort of, like, either perched up at the window, or he would, like, waddle over there because he's,
Creeper.
alive, I guess. And he would, like, make fun of children as they walked by, and
I'm
children would
obsessed.
say that they were, like, being taunted by Robert as they were walking to school.
So Eugene goes off to study, and then in 1930, he gets married in Paris to a woman named Annette Parker. And then after a while, the couple goes back to Florida to live at Eugene's family home, where the doll still is. And then they live there until he dies in 1974. 2 years later, Annette dies, and the home was sold to a woman named Myrtle Reuter, who owned the home for like 20 years after that, and then it's now being used as a guest house, I think. Robert the doll was still in the house when Myrtle Reuter bought it. So after our good friend Myrtle sells the house, the doll was donated to Key West's East Martello Museum. And obviously people like wanted to go see this famous doll, so it like quickly became a very popular tourist attraction. Would have to go post-COVID because Florida is a landmine right now.
True.
Everyone I know who's gone to Florida has gotten COVID.
Is that true?
Yes.
Oh my god.
Legend has it that while at the museum, Robert has moved, changed his facial expressions, people hear him giggling, which I'm fucking sorry. If anything, if I even have the slightest idea that something's gonna giggle at me, I'm out. Like, laughing is one thing, like, giggling is not okay with me.
Yeah.
Many say that Robert seems to be very aware of what goes on around him, that, like, he's conscious, like, he just feels conscious. A lot of local folklore says that the doll has caused car accidents, broken bones, job loss, divorce, and a cornucopia of other misfortunes.
I don't know.
So I don't know if we should go visit him, because those that visit Robert the doll and fail to show him respect have reported to experience post-visit misfortunes. No,
That's what I was gonna say though. I'm like, let's just be respectful about it.
But I don't know what the doll's gonna consider respect. Like, should I go up and bow?
Well, I can tell you for Annabelle, Ed and Lorraine's daughter says that her mom always said, just don't look it in the eye.
I would have a hard time not looking in the eye. And especially Robert's eyes, I'm fucking sorry, like, to cling to his appearance, but it's just not it.
No human looks like Robert, so no person could be offended by that.
His face is like a fish, where, like, his eyes are, like, on his... How would I not look him in the eye? Like, at some point. That's what I have on Robert. He makes me laugh.
That's just particularly creepy.
Yeah.
And I just wonder, like, people are generally just creeped out by dolls.
Yeah.
And I just wonder where that comes from. Like,
I mean, they're like very humanoid, but like dead. It looks like they're there with you, and little kids will personify them in such serious ways because they look like them.
I mean, these stories have so many discrepancies because they've become just sort of like legends at this point.
It's hard to believe. Like,
and that.
How
also.
many times have you heard of your friend having a creepy haunted doll? Please let us know.
Right.
I'd love to know. I don't know any.
This does not, I still don't want to see the movie, but this does not scare me. Like, I don't feel like I'm at risk of this happening to me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that means it's not real. It could, all things are possible.
Sure.
But I don't know. I almost buy Annabelle's story more because it's like a demon just trying to manipulate these girls. And I don't know, that kind of makes sense.
The theory makes sense to me for sure. And if that, like, I guess if that was, like, the case with all of these dolls, that would make me, like, get it a little bit more.
Yeah.
But I don't know, why would a demon come here and decide, I want those ones, I'm gonna get in their doll.
Right, because alternatively, it's a human soul that's died, that is chosen, or is just so confused that it has become trapped in this physical object.
I mean, that makes more sense to me, though.
Does that really?
Yeah.
How confused would your soul have to be?
Well, my thought is, like, you have left your body, and now you're like, I don't know where to go. I loved this thing so much, like, maybe this will comfort me. Because it comforted me so much on Earth.
And then you're trapped
and
in
then
this
you're
physical
stuck
thing.
in it.
It would make me so sad to think that there are human souls trapped in physical objects.
Maybe it's a punishment. Maybe they sucked.
I don't even care if there's no afterlife at all. If I just cease to exist and cease to experience, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to exist to care.
You won't know.
So I don't care.
Yeah.
That's fine. I'm honestly really fine with that. What I don't like is thinking of myself like experiencing death but being stuck on Earth. Like, I don't want to think of myself as being like an earthbound spirit, to quote Ghost Whisperer, or being trapped in an object, or what if I'm just like physically trapped in my grave and I just am experiencing like coffin for the rest of my life. Like,
I don't want that. That's the other reason why because of the unknown of what death is, do not bury me. Do not put me in a box in the ground. Please burn me. Throw me into the sea.
Yeah, you've just convinced me that I want to be cremated.
Yeah.
Like,
I never wanted, just the thought, this has taken such an interesting turn.
I know, what the fuck?
But the thought of being placed inside a box in the ground, even though I might not be there to consciously understand what's happening, I don't want it. If I'm dead and for some reason you're in charge, don't put me in the ground.
This is really taking a turn, but I want to know what you guys think. Do you guys believe that it's possible for a demon or a human soul to inhabit an object? What do you think? We want to know. This is a weird episode.
Yeah.
But I liked it.
I mean, we're back. We're back.
So stay tuned for our show being published as a podcast. Stay tuned for our astrology miniseries, which once again is called Drinking with the Stars.
What a good name!
I know. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.